So the biggest priority for Wildgate right now is to get more players into the game. We've seen that we've got a small and very passionate community who's excited about playing Artifact Hunt and is excited to, blow up ships in the Reach and look for Artifact and all that stuff. But we really want to bring in, a larger audience that's excited about the possibilities of Wildgate and about fighting other spaceships and exploring the Reach. And so, we've had an enormous amount of help from our players in a number of different ways. So many of you have taken our survey, which we really appreciate. And so please, when we send those surveys out, keep taking those surveys if you're willing to do so. It really helps us get a better understanding of what's going on in the minds of our players and our would-be players for what they would like to see added to the game. We've also seen that a lot of players are talking about, how much stuff there is in the Reach. It was always our intention to add more stuff to the Reach going forward, but we can see maybe we have a little bit more work to do here, a little more quickly than we thought, in getting more stuff into the Reach, more locations you can explore, more hard points you can find, more types of artifacts, all of that stuff, right? More hazards, more variation. We think is very valuable to our players and to making the Reach feel different and varied and giving you different challenges as a prospector going into the Reach. So we're looking to expand in that area as well. We've also seen both from your surveys, from the comments on Discord, from Reddit, from Twitter, all the places you guys have been reaching out to us, which again, we're very thankful for, that Artifact Hunt on the sweatometer, how difficult is that game, is a little closer to a 9 or a 10 than we thought that it was coming out of Community Preview 1, Community Preview 2, and into our beta. And so we think we need more ways for players to play that are a little more chill than Artifact Hunt. And so we're going to look to add some more game modes to the game to give players some more styles of play, some more ways they can play. So if you love Artifact Hunt, that's cool, but maybe, you've played 3 or 4 games of Artifact Hunt and you're a little tired and it's 11:30 at night, but you want one more game. Maybe there's a game mode that you could sort of cycle back to that's a little bit more chill. Or maybe if you're the type of player who came to the game like, wow, I like fighting spaceships, dude, but this is like a lot. Like, I'm just getting boarded constantly. I don't know what's happening, and this is crazy. Maybe there's, some game modes that we can insert to bridge you into a place where you're like, okay, I understand the game well enough now. Maybe I want to try Artifact, or maybe you don't. Maybe you just want to live in some game modes that are a little easier. Maybe like a 5 or a 6 on the sweatometer instead of a 9 or a 10 on the sweatometer. And so we think that would be very helpful for our players. But the big goal for us is to provide more ways to play, more value to our players in terms of how they can play the game, and more things to do in the game world so that you don't feel like you've seen the whole thing after 20 or 30 hours of play. We do have a number of notes around balance, and we've taken those notes and we'll continue to take those notes. And the game is sufficiently weird, right? We've made a sufficiently different kind of game that you're going to see us continuing to work on balance as you guys learn the game, as we learn the game with you, and we see what the issues are. So we've made a whole bunch of balance changes to ships and to prospectors and to weapons, and we will continue to make those fixes going forward to continue to help the community. But the big goal for us right now is to provide more ways to play and more content in the game to invite more players to enjoy Wildgate. So we're looking at creating a game mode for our players. We haven't got a name for it yet. We're still struggling with that to find the right way to sort of pitch it to players and make it clear. But we're looking for something where you can jump in, you can try to get as much loot as you possibly can, and kind of leave whenever you want. So you're not really trapped in an area of the Reach with 4 angry ships and 16 other players that are looking to murder you and your crew. You can fly in, you can grab some treasure, you can grab an artifact or 2 maybe, and then just leave whenever you want. And so there's sort of a push your luck mechanic to it, right? Like, the longer you're there, the more likely that you're going to engage with enemy players, the more likely that an AI ship is going to jump you, the more likely you are to get attacked. But at the same time, the more loot you might be able to acquire. And so it is a very more sandbox style play experience, right? Which will allow players to jump in and then choose how much they want to press their luck to continue their journey, or they've seen enough and they're looking to leave. And we're trying some different systems in there to give players some different goals. So it's not just like you've played, but the gates are always open. That there's some new mechanics in there as well. But we're still working on it. We're still testing it internally. In fact, I have a play test here in a couple hours, and we're going to keep working on that and get it to you as soon as you possibly can. This won't be done when it comes to you, right? Like, this will be an early access look, and we will want to get your guys' feedback. We want to understand what's working about this mode. So we're gonna get it to you as fast as we can. We're not gonna make it the most perfect, polished. We did everything we could possibly think of. We'll have ideas already in mind by the time it comes to you, but we want to hear from you. Like, we want to play it with you. We found that playing Artifact Hunt in a live environment with you guys was way better than any amount of testing we could do internally. And so we want to get all of our new game modes to you guys a little earlier than maybe we're comfortable with, in order to get your feedback and be able to play the game with you guys live, over the course of weeks, and then we'll add to it as we go. So we're looking for something that is, I don't know, a 4 or 5 on the sweatometer, right? Like, it's half as scary as Artifact Hunt. Something that is a little less intense, that allows you to enjoy the play experience with your friends and to work with your crew. It still be challenging. Like, we're not looking to make sort of the easy mode of Nebula. We still want you to make cool gameplay choices, choose to take risks, some chance of destruction for your spaceship for sure, but that you can choose how much you want to push it, as opposed to Artifact Hunt, where you're kind of in a small space with other players. Like, the reach is big, but their ships are fast, right? Like, they can get on you really quick. And so we want an environment that's a little more, you choose how much danger you want to be in, if that makes sense. So the new game mode, we're still developing it, but there's no real way to, you'll choose what you think winning is. There's no moment where we go, you win, it's over, everyone else loses. In the new game mode, you will come in, there's a gate that's always open. You can leave whenever you want. You definitely lose if your ship blows up, right? Like, if an enemy team captures you, if an AI ship jumps you, you fly through a cosmic storm without a shield, something bad, your ship, you definitely lose. But winning is kind of up to you. So maybe you get, 20,000 loot. You're like, that's winning to me, and you leave. Yeah, that's a win. Or maybe you think, dude, 20,000 is a lot. I only need 10,000 to feel like a winner, and you leave. And so you'll choose what your level of success looks like. We are looking at some ways to add some indicators to players, like, hey, you're doing really well. Maybe think about leaving, right? Hey, you've done really well. The Reach has noticed and started hunting you, right? Maybe think about leaving. So we are trying to add a little bit of structure to it, but the goal is to allow players to sort of choose when they think they've had enough, right? So they can certainly make the game harder for themselves, or they can go, hey, I just want to play a little bit. It's right before bed, right? Like, I just want to hop in here and play a little bit with a buddy or two, and then I'm going to bail out. And so the hope is to create something that allows you to have a little more autonomy and choice in how difficult you want the game to feel. We are working on a new ship, and we'd planned for a long time, to do ships that are meant for different size crews. And as we got closer and closer to the end, and we saw how difficult it was for us to make these ships, we ended up cutting that scope. And so we only had 4-player ships in the game. But we've heard from a lot of you that, you don't really enjoy playing with just any random player that comes along, and you don't really feel competitive on a ship that is a smaller crew. And so we're looking to make a ship that maybe can be competitive with a smaller crew, so that you can play, with you and one other friend, and take your chances in the Reach with a small crew. And so we're experimenting with a 2-player ship. This will have obvious utility in a game mode where you can leave whenever you want. Like, that'll be much easier to use a 2-player ship in that environment, especially because we're making it a pretty fast ship. So you can certainly come in there, grab some treasure, you and one other person, and just bail, right? And just get out before anybody can catch you. And so that will allow players to enjoy the game with just one other person, which I think a lot of players would really like. We are going to try to make it, somewhat competitive in Artifact Hunt, and that'll be a challenge for us for sure. Again, this is not going to be one and done. We're not going to make the 2-player ship and go, it's perfect, there you go. This ship's going to come out. We're going to take your notes. We're going to play it with you. We're going to see how it does in all of the game modes in which it's in. and we're going to try to sort of tune it and see what makes sense. But the goal is to make a ship that's small, fast, resistant to boarding, that allows you and one other teammate to enjoy the game, so that you don't feel like you have to be in a group of 4 to play. We're still working on our smaller cruise ships, on our 2-player ship, and I don't know exactly yet how it's all going to go. But the types of things we're experimenting with is obviously 2-player ships are faster, so they can choose and pick their own battles. They can choose when to engage or when to run away. The 2-player ships are also probably going to use a little bit of automation, right? So they may have automated turrets. They may have security guards on the ship that protect your ship. The ice button will probably fire automatically. So we're going to use some of these tools that we've created, both for our small crew bonus and, in creating our AI ship, we've created some AI characters, and we can include those as allies for you on your ship. And so that'll give you the manpower you need to engage with an enemy ship, right? So I don't know that these ships are going to be like battleships. Like, I don't know that you're going to go full guns and just wipe out a 4-man crew, but you may be able to under certain circumstances, and you may be able to use your maneuverability to win games against crews that are just larger than your crew. So we know that we don't have as many players as we'd all like in the Matchmaker at any one time in Wildgate right now. And so I just talked about a whole bunch of things we're going to add in terms of game modes and new content. And that's all very fine and good. And we think those things will help. We think those things will provide players with more ways to play. Being able to play with smaller crews, that's a common complaint. And so if our players that you have played and left come back because now they can play with one other person, that's another player for all of us to play with. If a player who left because they felt like the game mode was too hardcore, and that player comes back, that's another player for all of us to play with. And then, players who are looking at the game from the outside, oh, I don't know, that game looks pretty hard. I don't know if I can play with, I don't have 3 other friends. Again, these things have value to those players. So we do think that content matters, that game design matters, that art matters, that gameplay matters, and that will bring more players in. We have a lot of strategies in this area that we're working on, in addition to all the content. So we're hopeful that with a combination of content, providing a better play experience for a wider group of players on top of a number of different promotions, will get us to a happy place where we can all say, hey, I have plenty of people to play Wildgate with, which is, of course, all what we all want. So I've told you about a whole bunch of stuff that we're working on. We're going to keep rolling this stuff out to you as fast as we possibly can. We understand you guys are very hungry for content. We're all hungry for more players, and we're going to keep pushing stuff into the game as quickly as we reasonably can. Sometimes that means we go a little too fast. Sometimes we have some spots where we have to wait for something to come along, but we're going to just keep working to get stuff into your hands. So we have a big update coming in October. The big update for all of this game modes and the ship and stuff, that's going to be late November. And so we're going to try to get as much stuff as we can in that October patch, and then we're going to try to get as much stuff as we possibly can in that November patch as well. And that's when we'll see these changes, and we'll start to see, and be able to test with you guys what makes sense, what's working, is this 2-player ship cool? Is this new game mode doing what we want? And all of the content that we're putting in. So thank you so much for helping us with Wildgate. Thank you so much for all your feedback and notes. Thank you all for playing. Special shout out to the early morning Discord crew. Thank you guys so much for meeting me every morning at 8 a.m. I love all the feedback and chats we've had about game balance and conversations we've had about advertising and all the stuff we've talked about in terms of new game modes and ideas for the game. You guys have been absolutely brilliant. So much fun to work with. Thanks to everybody who streamed the game, who's promoted the game, who's made nice videos, even not nice videos, and told us what it was you wanted to see in the game. The process of making an online multiplayer game is always about working with the community. So thank you very much, and we'll see all y'all in the Reach.